Thank you.
Yeah.
Nice meeting you.
So what we've done is we have that table set up for you.
So where's the food?
So our MC is in the bathroom at the moment. Okay, so I'm gonna just kind of get the ball rolling.
What am I doing here?
He's in the house.
So, welcome.
Didn't
Stan.
answer me.
Welcome. We appreciate you coming.
Nervous.
You're nervous. I'm facing all these people I don't even know. But we'll be good friends within a few minutes.
So I guess first things first is anybody want to just throw out some questions? Anything in particular as far as any burning questions for Stan?
Nobody told me I'd have to answer questions.
You don't have to answer
We'll
them
talk
truthfully.
later.
You don't have to answer them truthfully.
Yeah, I got.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Here's a question.
Okay.
I must have absolute silence.
Okay. Stan, my name's Jack Butterworth. I used to be John Butterworth. I used to be a student at Colgate University. I discovered Spider-Man in 1963 because of a panel that you wrote that had Spider-Man trying to cash a check in a bank and being refused because he didn't have a Social Security card or driver's license as Spider-Man, which is classic to me, just wonderful. And I fell in love with it. I wrote an article for my college newspaper, the Colgate Maroon, sent you the article with a fan letter. You published the fan letter in Spider-Man 15. And the quote that I used in the article, if Charlie Brown wore a skin-tight costume and fought crime, he would be Spider-Man, wound up getting used in an article in the New York Herald Tribune magazine 2 years later. So I helped to kill the New York Herald Tribune. I'm sorry about that. But it also wound up on the back of the first Lancer paperback collection of Spider-Man stories, on the back cover.
That quote, huh?
Yeah, I saw the paperback. Oh, that's cool, Spider-Man. I picked it up, I looked at the back cover, and whoa! So thanks to you, I went on to a career as a newspaper reporter and a writer. And I want to thank you for that. My question is, and it's not specifically about you, but I wonder if you've
it's
seen
not about me,
the
I'm
movie.
not
Well, it's slightly about you. It's about the field of comics. I really felt a certain amount of pride as a comic book fan seeing Argo recently, and in the credits that follow the movie, Jack Kirby is acknowledged because he did the drawings that they used for the storyboards for the movie to get those people out of Iran. It's which is an incredible thing. You know, it really is. I think it reflects so well on this field that we all love. I wondered if you have seen the movie, if you had any particular feelings about it.
Which movie is this?
Argo.
It's Argo.
It's a
It's
movie
the
called
Ben
Argo.
Affleck movie about the six
I
Americans.
haven't seen it, no.
The six
Okay.
Americans that got rescued from the Canadian government, and they
I
used,
heard about it, but I haven't seen
they
it.
used Jack Kirby's artwork for.
Well, it's about time somebody used Kirby's artwork. God knows I used enough.
Yeah. Well.
Well, I gotta tell you, that was the longest question I ever heard.
It is.
Now it's time to go, but it was great meeting you.
It's all downhill from here, I'm sure.
You're practically a part of Marvel history with all of that. Son
Yeah,
of a gun.
yeah,
Good hearing from you.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Stan, I have to show you something here.
No, you don't have to. You want to.
Yeah, I absolutely want to.
All right.
What I have here is something even Roy Thomas said to me he didn't know existed. I've been in correspondence
Something
with this.
Roy Thomas sent you?
Yeah, he didn't know. What is right
He didn't
here?
know what, didn't he know?
He didn't know. This is what you see right here is the very first Marvel licensed product ever done. It's the 1963 Ben Cooper Spider-Man costume. There are only 3 of them in existence. Look at this. You got
I'm helping you.
Yes, he is. But I would just want to know is like, did you know that came out? I mean, that's a Martin Goodman thing. Like,
No.
because
What didn't tell me anything. I was in a little room writing the stories. Nobody told me what was going on in the real world.
But what is so interesting about that is Spider-Man was on issue number 5 when that came out, so nobody even knew really knew who Spider-Man was.
Gee, this is really amazing. It's a Spider-Man costume?
Absolutely. It's
When
actually,
Spider-Man number 5 was out?
when number 5. Stan Lee, it's not even a Spider-Man costume. It's a Stan Lee costume.
It's me?
It's all you.
Well, bless your heart.
Yeah, I just wanted to show you that, and I'll have him sign it tomorrow. But,
I'll sign it now, do you have
oh,
it?
yeah, absolutely.
I might miss you tomorrow.
Oh, I know. Thank you very much, Stan. Right there.
Right there. Oh, he knows where he wants it.
Unbelievable. This is a piece of Marvel history right here. We got Stan Lee signing the very first Marvel. Thank you very much, Stan. Thank you, comics. Thank you.
He's got to be in showbiz.
It's for Kirby, too. And Steve Ditko. Maybe he'll come back.
He
right?
wasn't bad either. All right, next victim. You pick the people.
Well, Dana's gonna do it. He's gonna be running your show. Come on, Dana.
Oh, okay. Hello, sir. How are you?
Hi there.
Pleasure to meet you.
Glad to see you.
Thank you. Okay, let's see. Well, thank you once again and for coming, Stan. And well, what we'll do here is moderate. I can moderate questions, and
Yep.
if you want to tell
Do
some
me
stories,
one favor.
certainly.
I don't hear as well as I used to, so if anyone speaks softly, which most people do, just repeat the question because I don't want to miss a word.
Sure, you got it. Okay, so would anyone like to ask Stan something? Who's got? Yes, right there.
I wanted to know if you could sign these for me.
Okay, he wanted to know if you would sign those for him.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's better than working.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Which is the front there. This is one of the first times I've signed a book without using a Sharpie. There you go, dear.
Thank you.
Your,
Thank you so much.
your pen? Okay.
Yeah, we should probably hold on. Yeah, tomorrow will be your chance to get signatures from Stan, so we should probably hold off from any more signing requests right now, I think, just to be...
More questions.
Yeah, so let's go with some questions, yes.
Well, it's more of a basic question. Of every character that you've ever created, who's your favorite?
Of all the characters I've created, who's my favorites? Yeah, I heard that. I guess Spider-Man. I guess he's the most popular, the most famous, the most like me because he's adorable. I guess Spider-Man.
Thank you, sir.
But I'm sure fond of the others too.
Right there, yes?
Stan, what do you think of the casting overall in the movies?
What do I think of the
The
casting?
casting of the
yeah.
movies.
Some of them are spot on, I think.
Well, if you're referring to the Spider-Man movie, I thought it was great.
Yeah, I mean, all across, like, Robert Downey
All
as
across the
Tony
board?
Stark
Yeah.
and-
For the most part, I think that, I mean, how can you fault casting like Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man?
Right.
Or the fellow who plays, I forget their names, the guy who plays Thor is great.
Yes.
And I was very surprised they took the fellow who was the Human Torch and they made him Captain America, but he did a great job. They're all nice guys and they'll kill me for not remembering their names. No, I think the casting has been great, the movies were great, and because the movies are so great, that's what's making the comics and the superheroes so popular. The movies have done so much. All of a sudden, because of the movies, I've become a celebrity. So I love the movies.
Right. Let's see, over there, yes?
Stan, I was going to thank you for Who Wants to Be a Superhero, the show. That was a great show. I wonder if you could make any comments about it or any thoughts about having a comeback of Who Wants to Be a Superhero.
You want to know if I have thoughts about Who Wants to Be a Superhero will come back?
Well, I wanted you your thoughts about creating the show. And,
Oh, creating it.
And then if it
And
will come
wanting to
back.
bring it back,
It's
Stan.
2 parts.
Well, I'd love to bring it back, but it isn't my decision. The network did it for 2 showings or whatever you could do.
2 seasons.
2 series, 2 somethings. And after that, they dropped it. I guess it didn't get a good enough rating. So many people have told me they loved it and their kids loved it and blah, blah, blah. You never know. I have another one after that called Stan Lee's Superhumans. And everybody who saw it loved it. But again, the network didn't promote it at all. There was never one ad for it anywhere. And it's still playing, so I understand I think it's playing in Israel, it's playing in little countries all around the world, but it's not playing here anymore. I can't figure it.
I guess I understand that your a video game, your first video game, just came out, I believe.
Oh yeah, there's a video game that I'm in, and I'm in a number of them for some strange reason. I'm so heroic. But this game, when you move your arms, the character moves. Is that the one you're talking
Yeah,
about?
and he falls or.
Yeah. Oh, that one. There's
Yes,
another
that's the
one.
that-
No, this is yeah, it's kind of a video game. It's called Victor. Wait,
I'm trying to get it right now. It's hard to remember the name.
it's a beautiful name, and I can't think of it.
Here it is.
It sounds like a Roman name. You with my eyesight?
Verticus.
Verticus. Verticus, because it's taken from the word vertical, because he falls from God knows where, down through the earth to the very bottom of the earth. He's got to stop a bomb from exploding that's going to blow all of you up. Then he has to go back up again. And each time when he's going down and he's going up, there's millions of things trying to kill him, and he has to avoid them. He finally makes it up again. There's another bomb down there. He's got to go all the way down again. Well, when he finishes the bomb, he's got to go up again through all those people trying to kill him. And wouldn't you know it, there's another bomb down there. The game never ends. We'll make millions. It's called Verticus. It's the next Angry Birds.
Yes, right there.
Hey Stan, whatever happened with you and Ringo? With
Me and who?
Ringo Starr.
Oh, Ringo Starr. I met him. We were going to do something big. Oh, an animated cartoon. He wanted to be a superhero. I said, Ringo, you're a sweet guy. You ain't no superhero. But we were going to come up with something funny. The best thing that came out of it was I took a photo with him where I'm playing the drums and he's reading Spider-Man. It's kind of a cute photo. But beyond that, we had about 4 or 5 meetings, and I think I had a lot of ideas. He didn't like them. He had a lot of ideas that were horrible, and we never ended up doing it. We're good friends, but we still haven't done anything. But you never know. We may still come up with something we both like, and months from now or years from now, you'll say, gee, I remember Stan talking about that once. And you'll feel very dramatic, and life will be meaningful at that moment.
Yes.
Stan, you're known for creating very famous comic characters. Are there any characters that you wish you created that are either in Marvel or not in Marvel?
I heard that. Now, why did I hear him? Anyway, are there any characters I wish I had created?
Yes.
Not really. Bob Kane was a friend of mine. I don't want to take Batman away from him. I knew Jerry Siegel. Let him have let the memory of Superman rest with Siegel and Schuster. There's one character that DC has that I get a kick out of. Yeah, I remember that. I can't live without this guy. And his name is Lobo. What is this?
Ringo.
Oh, there's the picture of Ringo and me, but it's this size. So I don't know what it is. And Lobo, because to me, he's not a typical DC character. He should be a Marvel character, but we didn't think of him. But I don't even have time to read the competition. As a matter of fact, I don't have time to read our own books. I haven't read a comic book in quite a while because I keep too busy going to meetings like this that pay me very little. But for some reason I do it.
All right. So, yes, in back. With the gray.
Is
blazer.
somebody talking? I don't even hear it.
No, I thought you had your hand up. Yeah.
Me?
Gray blazer. Yes.
My daughter had her hand up.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you.
Well, what was your favorite comic book of all time?
What was your favorite comic book of all time that he wrote or read?
Either way.
Either way, I have to disappoint you with the answer. I'm not big in favorites. I mean, there are so many things I like. But you want an answer, and I don't want to disappoint you. One story that I was very fond of, which didn't become as famous as it should have. There was a Silver Surfer story that was illustrated by this great French artist, Mobius, and it was called Parable, I think. And I thought it was just a notch above the normal stories that we had done. It sold well, but the world didn't get excited about it, and it's the world's loss. I can do nothing about that. Parable, that's my answer.
One of my favorite characters of yours is Ant-Man.
Ant-Man?
Ant-Man, but it seems he's never gotten the respect of the other characters. And I'm just wondering, why do you think he never caught on as your other
I'm going to tell you what was wrong with Ant-Man. Partly Kirby's fault. I don't know if anybody else drew. I can't remember Ant-Man, but he was this small. And it should have been interesting to see him against things that are bigger, you know, somebody's shoe is about to step on him. But somehow the way he was drawn in the stories, he didn't look that small. When they drew him, whoever drew him, he looked like a normal guy. They didn't put enough things next to him that made you appreciate how small he was. You know, in a panel, if he was saying, if he was trying to run away, there would just be a picture of him running. There should have been a picture of him running past a spool of thread or a pencil or something small, so you get the feeling he's small. But when you looked at the artwork, you didn't feel it was about a small man. And that's what I meant when I said that the artwork really, it's unfortunate. But they are working on an Ant-Man movie. And believe me, they'll have him up against things that are much bigger. You'll know how small he is.
Mr. Lee, first I want to say thank you for your contributions to the industry that we all love.
Yeah.
I actually have two questions. My first one deals with the movies.
Is he allowed to ask two questions?
We'll see.
I don't want to violate any important rules. All right.
My first one is about the movies. Do you get any kind of say as far as what your cameo in the movie is going to be?
What, Mike? No.
They pretty much...
They call me and they say, be here at thus and such an hour to do your cameo. I have no idea what I'm going to do. One little funny thing about it, at least it's funny to me, I came to one cameo one day, and I'm wearing a pair of jeans and a shirt, I don't know. And I walk in, and you have to go to wardrobe. So I go to wardrobe, and the girl there says, I want you to put on these jeans and this shirt. I said, that's what I'm wearing now. And I want you to wear these sneakers. Look, I'm wearing sneakers. No, it has to be our jeans and our shirt and our sneakers. I always thought that was kind of funny. But aside from that, I absolutely do not know what I'm going to do until they let me know. And sometimes they change it while I'm there. And the director will decide, nah, I don't like that so much. Let's try this, Stan. And we try this, which, of course, comes out magnificently because I'm such a good cameo actor.
My other question...
I'm sorry, a second part of the question.
My other question was, when you were creating Spider-Man and the Hulk and the Fantastic Four, did you have a lot of input in their actual appearance?
Into the actual what?
Into their actual costumes, their appearance?
The visual.
It's hard to answer. I was the art director at the time, so I told the artist what to draw. But as far as the design of the costumes, I always left that to the artist.
Okay.
Like Steve Ditko designed the Spider-Man costume. I didn't tell him how to do it. He just did it, and I loved it. Kirby designed just about all, Thor and all the things he did. He designed them. The one time he thought I was crazy. Well, there were probably a lot of times he thought I was crazy, but one time I said, Jack, I have an idea for a character called the Hulk. I said, I want him to be a monster, but I want him to be a sympathetic monster. I want him to be he's a good guy, he's the hero, but he's a Hulk. And Jack almost walked out. But he came back and he said, all right, I'll try, and then that was the way the Hulk started. But I'll remember that. I didn't think he thought it was a good idea when I pitched it to him.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, John.
Yeah, Stan, what is the greatest Marvel slugfest you ever wrote?
The greatest Marvel what?
Slugfest you ever wrote.
Slugfest?
Because you and Jack
hell,
Kirby
I don't
took it to
know.
a...
I can't remember. I mean, every story had a slugfest. Wait. The one that I liked the best, and I don't think it was the greatest, because it wasn't that violent, I don't think. There was a story I did, it was a Daredevil story, and he fought Submariner. Now, they were both heroes, so I couldn't have one win and one lose. The fans of the loser would have hated it. And I think I wrote it in such a way that, I don't know if any of you saw it, but it was very dramatic. When Submariner finally left and went into the ocean, he had great respect for Daredevil and Daredevil's courage. And Daredevil had great respect for Submariner. I kind of liked that. I thought it was
Amen.
a good battle.
Yeah. Amen.
Yeah, I was wondering, say for example, like Spider-Man, being a writer, was there any stories that weren't published that you might be able to share a plot with?
I caught every other word.
Yeah, okay, were there any stories as a...
Was there any stories of Spider-Man, Stan, that you wrote that were never published?
No, I wouldn't let him not publish myself. Remember, I was the editor. I wrote it, you published it. Now, they were all, as far as I remember, they were all published.
You never had a personal, like, the story you wanted to hear yourself?
Did you ever have a personal story that you wanted to hear yourself?
Or is that pretty much all of them?
No, every story I wanted to write did appear, because I wrote it and we published it.
Yeah.
So that's why you're probably looking at me and saying, why doesn't he look frustrated? I'm not frustrated because they published everything I wrote, because I was the guy who said, let's publish it.
What's great is that, well, you pushed the envelope. I mean, beginning with Fantastic Four #1. For example, DC, all the characters, they were fairly cookie-cutter characters. You know, they were all handsome, successful bachelors. You know, Bruce Wayne, Clark Kent, etc. Then you get to Marvel, and suddenly all hell breaks loose, and the characters are having problems. You know, how am I going to pay for Aunt May's medicine this month? Okay, you know, why am I this ugly freak? You know, Ben Grimm thing. It's just wonderful how you took these characters and you applied, well, your great talents, and you made true characters out of them. They were no longer these one-dimensional, you know, stereotypes. They were really real flesh and blood characters. There's no denying the wonderful contributions that people like, you know, John Romita Sr. and Kirby and Ditko, you know, made. But for me, and I think I speak for many, many others, you were really the voice and the spirit of Marvel Comics, and you really made comic books and superheroes into something greater than there ever were. And we have so much to thank you for, honestly. We're so appreciative for what you did.
You are very welcome, and I couldn't agree with you more.
All right, let's see this.
Well, first of all, Stan, I want to say what a great honor it is to meet you. I've been a fan for years. Actually, it started off when I was in my teens and met my best friend when he saw me. I was reading a classic X-Men comic book. He's like, oh, you like comics too? You like Marvel? And I said yes. But it was after that point that he created the Marvel Role-Playing Club, which is based on the old role-playing system. We've done it for 20 years, so without your characters, we couldn't have gotten through our friendships and the characters that we've created. But my question to you is, of all the Spider-Man villains that you've created, which one is probably your favorite? Mine's Mysterio. I'm a big fan of Mysterio.
Mysterio? I'd forgotten about him. Yeah, he was pretty mysterious.
So your favorite Spidey villain?
I think I like Doc Ock. Because I liked his name. Nobody called a villain something like Doc Ock. See, I tried to give everybody nicknames. You know, like Thor was Goldilocks, and Iron Man was, no, one of them was Hornhead, I forget. I don't know, they had funny names. Daredevil was Hornhead. And Doc Ock, I just like the idea that his name was Dr. Octopus. And you see, DC Comics never called Batman Batty or Superman Soupy. So I enjoyed that. I forgot what the question was.
Oh, no, your favorite Spider-Man villain, if you have one.
I liked them
Doc
all.
Ock.
The Green Goblin was good. One I liked too was Sandman. I don't know why in the movies they made him so big. I would have liked it if he was just a normal size, but the thing is, if you tried to shoot him, the bullet goes through him because he's made out of sand. But when he wants to hit you, he can make his hand rock hard. And if he wants to escape, he can turn sand and go under the door, even if it's locked. I got a kick out of him. The Green Goblin I liked because he was a businessman and his son was involved and there was family there and human emotions. I liked the Lizard better the way I wrote him than the movie, because the way I wrote him, he was really a good guy. And even when he became the Lizard, he wasn't as bad as he was in the movie. And Peter, Spider-Man, when he fought him, never wanted to hurt him or kill him because he knew he's basically a good man. See, in the movie, I think they made him too evil, even as the scientist. He became like Mr. Hyde and Jekyll and Hyde. I liked the idea that he was really a good guy who couldn't help turning into the Lizard, and he had a wife and a kid, and he wanted to find a way to stop being the Lizard, but they didn't do that. Maybe they'll do it in the next movie, I don't know. I'm rambling. The question was the villains. I loved them all.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
What was it like to work with Steve Ditko?
What was it like to work with Steve Ditko?
Great. Steve Ditko and Jack Kirby were the two greatest guys to work with. They never showed any temperament. They were always on time with their work. Nothing was a problem. No matter how difficult the plot might be that I gave them to do, they went home, they did it, they brought it in, always on time. They never did one job where I'd say, gee, that art isn't so good, you know, I'd like you to change this. They always did the best they could with every job. They were just a joy to work with. And that was it.
Thank you. When you started the Avengers, did you know you were bringing Captain America back?
What about
when you started the Avengers, the team title, did you know that you were bringing Captain America back?
Did I start the Avengers before I brought him back?
Well, you brought him back in #4, but did you know that you were going to bring him back?
No.
No.
I must have just figured at some point, gee, I'll bring Captain America back. I never really planned. I never had time to plan ahead because I always had a story that had to be written that day. I wrote about one story a day, and I never could think ahead.
John over here, he wants me to ask you something.
Go ahead.
Uh-oh.
Wait, this is good for all the Thor and Hulk fans. That
All right. Notwithstanding the recent events, like the Avengers movie and cartoons.
Go for it, Dana. Go.
When you created the Mighty Thor, you wanted him to be kind of bigger and better than the heroes that came before. I recall in Origins of Marvel Comics, your introduction, you wrote that you were a fan of mythology, and even as a youngster you loved mythology, and Norse mythology was so much more appealing to you. Because it had that kind of that doom hanging over everything, and the gods were written. They knew that they were going to die someday, and it was more dramatic, which you loved. So when you wrote the Mighty Thor, was it your plan to have him be stronger than the Hulk, or as strong as the Hulk? How's that?
Is that the question?
Yeah.
It took you that long to say who's stronger, Thor or the Hulk?
It's long-winded, Stan.
I had to set it up.
My usual answer is it depends on who's writing the story.
All right, that's the best answer.
I never really thought of it in those terms. I mean, when I thought of Thor, I wasn't thinking, gee, I wonder if he's stronger than the Hulk, or could he beat Galactus if it came to a fight? Because people are always asking me things. All I knew was I wanted him to be the god of thunder. He's the most powerful god, except for Odin, who was usually taking a nap. I came up with the name the Odin Sleep. He's about to take the great Odin Sleep. I am corny. And no, I never thought of that. I don't know who the hell would win if Thor fought somebody else. As I say, it depends on the writer. It depends on who you want. These characters are not real.
Wait a minute. Isn't it? Yes, Stanley, there is a Hulk.
Well, maybe somewhere. I'd love to meet him.
Yes, Virginia.
Yeah. There is a Santa Claus.
All right, who's yes.
I was just wondering what your favorite cameo was in the movies.
Oh, I loved them all. I got a kick out of the one in the latest
Iron Man.
What did I do in Iron Man?
Hugh Hefner.
I did what? Oh.
Can you say that? No.
But I can't say it. You wasted these people's time. I can't say that one. I love the one in Spider-Man where I was the librarian marking the books while the fight was going on. I didn't know it. I like the one, of course, in Iron Man where I was Hugh Hefner. I like you. I can tell you a funny thing about that. I'm standing there with my arms around 3 sexy girls, which is not an unpleasant way to find yourself. And I was supposed to look like Hefner, so they put a pipe in my mouth, because he always smokes a pipe, or did. At one point, Robert Downey walks past me and says something like, "Hi, Hef," and I'm supposed to turn around and look at him. So he walked by and he said, "Hi, Hef," and I turned around and looked at him, and I had the pipe in my mouth, and I almost knocked out all the teeth of the girl who was there, because they were standing so close to me. When I turned, the pipe hit the girl in the face. So the director, who is no slouch, said to me, "Stan, I think we'll remove the pipe." And that's why I had no pipe in my mouth. And I know you're all wondering why.
Yes.
What is your favorite Marvel movie?
What is your favorite of the Marvel movies?
Oh, wow. I got to be honest, I love most of them. I think maybe the first Iron Man, I got a really big kick out of that. I thought it was just perfect. There was nothing I could find to change or that I would want to change or alter. But I loved them all. I loved the X-Men, the first X-Men movie, second one too. I certainly loved the Spider-Man movie. When you asked about my favorite cameos, that made me think, I like the one in Spider-Man where we're in Times Square and I walk up to him and I say, what I said?
One person can't make a difference.
One person can.
One person, right, you're right, you have a good memory. I say one person can make a difference. And then I left, and then the director, what's your name again?
Sam Raimi.
Sam Raimi. I'm pretending I don't know. And Sam Raimi said, "Stan, come back. Say 'nuff said" after that. I couldn't believe it. So I said, one person can make a difference, and then I said, "'Nuff said." I got a kick out of that.
Did you like the organic webbing on Spider-Man?
Did I what?
Did you like the organic webbing? You know how they made it part of his body? No, yeah.
That's an interesting thing, at least to me. Before the Spider-Man movie was done by Sam Raimi, Jim Cameron thought he would do Spider-Man. And that excited me, because I'm a big fan of Cameron's, as I am about Raimi. And Cameron even did a big poster that he sent me of Spider-Man climbing on a wall, and he said, "I'm going to use this for the newspaper ads." And he wrote a 50-page treatment, not a screenplay, but a treatment just of what the story would be when he wrote the screenplay. And in the treatment, Spider-Man's webbing was organic. He didn't have the web shooter. And I thought, gee, change that. Wow. But I didn't say anything. Anyway, he never did the movie for some reason. Then when Sam Raimi did the movie, he decided to make it organic also. Now, these are two of the most talented directors in Hollywood, filmmakers. And if they felt it should be organic, I guess they were right. And certainly we know how successful the movies were. But I kind of liked the idea of him having something that he wore and he'd press it. And the reason I liked that was because I could always get him in trouble where he needs it the most and he's run out of web fluid. And what does he do? But in the movies, he's always got the webbing. So it makes it easier for the writer. But I would have been more intrigued if it was still not organic. But I know I'm wrong, because if two of the best filmmakers in Hollywood wanted it organic, I'm not going to argue with them. How's that for getting you off the hook?
Right.
All right.
But they've gone back to the web shooters in the new movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you're kidding.
Hey, honestly, it's true.
So Stan, you were right.
So how do they justify that with the future?
They rebooted
It's a restart, yeah.
When they restarted Spider-Man, they made
Why do you know more about it than I do?
They restarted it, they introduced the web shooters.
In the next movie?
In the new,
the one that came out
the
this
one
year.
that you did as the librarian, they introduced
I
the
didn't
web-
see that, dude.
Yeah,
They,
but-
you mean in the movie that's out they
Yes.
did it?
Yeah.
Come on,
I
Stan.
saw the movie, I don't remember. I was so busy, I guess, looking for my scenes. I gotta see the movie again. Anyway.
Good one. Let's see. Well, yes, sir.
Can you comment on your appearance in The Big Bang Theory?
Oh, I heard you. We're sitting right next to me. Would I comment on my appearance in The Big Bang Theory? An appearance that shook up all of Hollywood. I never had more fun. Those people were so nice and such fun to work with. A funny thing about it, though, as you may know, if you've seen The Big Bang Theory that I was in, I play a guy who's very annoyed when whatever his name is, the star of the movie, and his girlfriend come to my door to speak to me. And I say, you know, what do you want or something? And then I say, Joni, call the police, because it looks like they're trying to get in. So I received so much fan mail from readers saying, we thought you were a nicer guy than that. Don't you care for your fan? They got all indignant. And so I better watch out what roles I take from now on. I don't want to turn off all the fans.
I can add to something like that. And it's funny because he has a housekeeper named Alicia. She's been with him for years.
Excuse me, can you people hear him?
Yeah.
Sounds to me like you're talking so low I can hardly hear you.
He has a
I can
housekeeper
hear
named
you.
Alicia for the last 20 plus years. And she saw the episode of what he was talking about. And then one day, a few weeks later, I come by the house. Max, I got to tell you something. I go, what? He goes, some kids came over here asking for Mr. Lee's signature. And I said, don't come back here again, because he doesn't live here. I live here. Don't come back. And it was just so funny with it.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
There's construction guys that work across the street that are building this beautiful house. And when I showed up, they came over and they said, hey, do you think it's okay that Mr. Lee signs a couple of books for my kids? I'm like, why don't you ask? Oh, no, we were here the day the housekeeper came out. I was like, it was funny as hell. But it's fun. It's fun seeing little things like
But
that.
I love being on that show. My big frustration was they didn't let me keep the pajamas or bathrobe I was wearing that had the floor on them. They did let me have it? Where did I put it? Oh, I'm not frustrated. I don't have the world's best memory, which will surprise you.
He has a vast collection, that's why he does it. He just puts it in there. Let me see, somewhere in there.
It's next to the Hugh Hefner robe.
I have a cap, though.
Yeah.
I have the cap that I wore in Thor when I drove the truck that couldn't move the hammer, and I brought it with me. I should have worn it now. It's in my suitcase in case I had to walk outside and it was snowing.
That's why I consider that one of the best. That's probably the funniest cameo.
That was a funny one.
Yeah,
I
mean,
loved
instead of,
it.
you know, the truck, the back end breaks off, and then it's you. Did it work? Now, did you film the cameo for Thor 2 yet?
Thor 2, no.
Not yet, no. But Iron Man 3, that's done.
The Iron Man 3 is done, and I can't wait to see what they'll have me do for Thor 2.
Yeah.
I'd like to be an Asgardian. I'd like to be one of the gods in the background.
The Grand Vizier.
Oh, would that be nice? When Odin takes his great Odin sleep.
Mr. Lee, when I was about 7, my next door neighbor asked me, "Do you like comic books?" And I said, "Yeah." So he goes, "Well, my son isn't interested in comic books, so here." He handed me Amazing Spider-Man 1 through 50. My mother, when she got home from work that night, said, "You're not supposed to be taking things from strangers. Go give them back to him." Could you please look at this camera and yell at my mother?
I gotta tell you, so many people have told me that they could have the greatest collection, but their mother made them throw it out. I'm even dumber. My mother didn't care. I could have had all the comics I wanted. I was too stupid to save them. In fact, none of us saved them. In those days, we had an office that was the size, we had the smallest office you could ever imagine. We were crowded in there. And there was no room to put anything. And all the comics that didn't sell, the distributor would send back to us. So one day we'd get a stack of books like that, 10 stacks that size. We had no place for them. Guys would come up to deliver sandwiches from the drugstore below. "Hey kid, on your way out, take these books." And the same with the artwork. The printer sent us back the original artwork. "Hey fella, take this artwork, will you? We have no room for it." And all that stuff was, none of us had any idea that one day we would be so celebrated and our work would be so valuable. In fact, I think I'm far too good to be talking to these ordinary people.
Now, speaking of your work, now your many thousands and thousands of pages of comic script writing, did you ever try your hand at poetry or prose or screenplays?
I tried it at poetry. I love poetry. In fact, I wrote a poem called God Woke, which you'll be able to find on the internet if you Google it. And I've written a lot of other poems I won't bore you with. I love Edgar Allan. Everybody says, "You like Edgar Allan Poe. What do you think of the Telltale Heart?" I said, no, it's his poems I like. Yeah, I like poetry. What was the question?
Oh no, just what other writing you've tried?
No, I haven't tried anything else.
It's just some poetry.
I never tried to write a novel because I don't have the patience. The one thing I loved about comic book writing, I could write a story in a day, and by 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock at night, I was finished. It was over, because I really hate to write. And a novel, you'd have to write a little bit and put it aside and go back to it the next day and worry about it. And I don't have the temperament for that. The same with the screenplay. I had been asked to write it. I did a screenplay once. There was a famous French director that none of you will know named Alain Resnais. And he came to America to meet me because he was a fan of Spider-Man. And he wanted us to do a screenplay together. I wrote training films in the Army, but that was not the same as a screenplay that he'd want. So anyway, we worked on it together, and I wrote it as best I could, and he loved it. And then we brought it to a producer, a guy named Martin Ransohoff, a company called Filmways. This was about 1 million years ago. And the producer said, "I like this story, I want to use it, but Stan, you've got to cut the dialogue." Because I didn't know at that time, the less dialogue you have in a movie, the better. Because these are moving pictures. The people want to see the pictures move. There should only be enough dialogue to keep things going. I wrote pages of dialogue and speeches. So he said, "There's too much dialogue, I got to cut it." And my nutty friend, Alain Resnais, the director, who was very set in his ways, he said, "No, Stan will not cut a word of it." So that screenplay is still laying on a shelf somewhere. We were paid for it, but he never produced it, and that's the only time I really wrote something different than comics.
I tell you, I've taught for a number of years, and whenever I teach poetry, when I come to the subject of alliteration,
Edgar Allan Poe,
Stan Lee.
Mr. And me. But what about Hear the Sledges with the Bells,
Tintabulation,
all that
yes,
stuff?
yes, sure.
But yeah.
The bells. But no, you have such a knack.
I love it, alliteration.
Yeah.
It sounds good to me, my ear.
Yeah, right. John.
Mr. Lee, can you tell us a little something about Martin Goodman, like your relationship?
Yeah.
I've heard many things, good and bad, about him.
All true.
Was he really a hobo?
What?
Was he really a hobo before he got
I didn't know him if he was a hobo. I knew him. He married a cousin of mine. So that was our close relationship. He was the husband of a cousin whom I rarely saw. And he had this publishing company. And one day somebody told me that there was a job open at that company. So I ran over, and that's when I started working for Simon & Kirby. As far as he was concerned, he was a very smart, lazy man. He was smart enough to build up a company that had comic books, and he also published movie books, confession books, men's magazines. He even had magazines that were like Playboy, but they were 100 times cheap. They didn't have the class of Playboy. They were just nothing.
Ooh, that's a good thing.
But he knew the magazine business inside and out. He didn't really know story. He was lousy at story, but the one thing he was good at were covers. In those days, a magazine sold by the cover. There were very few fans. Like today, somebody will walk into a comic book store knowing he wants to buy the latest issue of something. In those days, there weren't comic book stores. You bought the magazines off a rack in a drugstore or somewhere. So the most important thing was to have a cover that would catch the reader's eye, because people would buy the magazine according to whether the cover attracted them. And Martin knew what a good cover was. He knew how it should be. He may not have been able to do it himself, but when I'd show him two covers, he immediately knew this is the better one, Stan, because it's got that red and the this and the that. So he taught me a lot about covers. He was also incredibly lazy. He had the company going, and he'd spend most of his time lying on the couch or playing Scrabble with his business manager, and he only spent a few hours a day discussing and the comics were not the biggest part of his business. He was more interested in the men's magazines and the movie magazine and so forth. And one day he sold the company to somebody else, and he retired, and that was it. He was a nice guy, but I resented the fact that he didn't work harder at the company, because when we started getting fan mail, after we did the Fantastic Four and Spider-Man, I knew we were onto something. And I used to say to him, let's take ads, let's publicize this, let's promote it, oh Stan, come on, just write the stories. You go back and play with Scrabble. He didn't really care. So that was my beef with him. But other than that, he was a great guy. I knew him for years and worked with him, and he knew covers.
Do you think he would have been proud of you?
What? No, he was jealous of me.
Yeah, I heard that.
No, he was, because I started trying to promote the magazines myself. And I started doing interviews and being on radio shows, and I was getting all the publicity. And after a while, people thought, in those days we called it Marvel, but before that it was Atlas Comics. But people thought Marvel Comics was me. And I know that Martin resented it.
Yeah.
But there's nothing I could do about it.
Good job.
Yes,
You didn't expect to hear about that, did you?
With today's digital age, I can't imagine. I hate reading comics online. What do you feel about the future of print comics?
Wow. I don't think print comics will ever be as big as they were. I think in this digital age, young people are so used to seeing things on their computer, on their iPad, and they want to see pictures move also.
Right.
And I think there'll probably always be comics, but I think
To me, you still have to
animation.
have it in your hand. You know?
Pardon me?
You still have to have it in your hand. You know.
I think so,
yeah.
but you know, I'm an older guy. Young kids don't feel that way anymore. They can enjoy a story on their iPad where they can move the picture, they can make a picture bigger, they can make it smaller, they can quickly go here and come back here, and they enjoy doing that, and I can understand it. It's fascinating, you know, instead of just looking at something that sits there and it doesn't move. So I think as the younger kids come in and they become so computer savvy and computer organized that I not only comics, I think all of reading, all of books and all printed matter will not be as popular as it had been because people read books on Kindle and so, and again, they can make the type bigger or smaller, or they can do whatever they want. They can go to another page, they can hold it. If I were in the paper business, I'd be worried.
Have you ever been on the Universal Spider-Man ride?
Have you ever been on the Universal Spider-Man ride?
Oh, yes. I love it. In fact, if you ever go to Orlando, where the Universal Spider-Man ride is, I'm bragging now, so forgive me, but right in front of the Spider-Man ride, there's a lamppost. And on the lamppost, it says Stanley Boulevard. So yes, I've been on the ride, which happens to be a great
And let me add to that. We went to Orlando 2 years ago for MegaCon, and they invited us to go to Universal, and the guy said, "Hey, get on the ride, Stan." And I'm like, "Stan, you don't want to get on the ride." They go, "I want to get on the ride." I tell that it was probably my worst. I mean, if there was ever a disaster that was going to happen, it was there, because he got on that ride, and I know what it's about—a 3D motion ride. And I was like this. I wasn't looking. You're supposed to look at the ride like this. I was looking at him. I'm like, oh my God, he's gonna do this. Oh my God, he's not gonna. And that thing was moving us and doing this, and doing that, and the heat and so on, right? After we got done with the ride, my heart's doing this. I loved it. Let's go again.
Wait just a minute. I never knew this. You had that little confidence? I think I need a new associate.
Follow up, yes?
Is it true that most of your superheroes are based off dares?
I'm sorry.
Is it true that most of your superheroes are based on dares?
On what?
Dares.
I dare you to do this. I dare you to do that.
Most of
the superheroes you created, you
were based on dares. I don't
told-
think so, dear.
Someone told me that Iron Man was based off someone dared you to make someone that everyone loved but everyone hated.
So he said, for example, they dared you, in Iron Man's case, to make a character that everybody loved but also hated.
Yeah.
So a character that you could both hate and love at the same time.
No, honey, the only thing, and it wasn't really a dare, it's when I did the Fantastic Four, and the publisher, Martin Goodman, said, I heard that DC's Justice League is selling well. Why don't we do a group of heroes and put them together? But nobody ever dared me to do a Spider-Man or a Hulk or a Daredevil or anything.
Okay, thanks for clearing that up for me.
What is going on here? And I'm here. Look at that. They're having a little conversation.
No, Stanley's right here.
Okay, let's see. All right, let's take a question right there.
All right. In follow-up to John's question about Martin, was there a point in your career where it stopped being just a job that you were going to do and you really started to see it as the career that you wanted for your life?
No.
Okay.
It was always a job. It had to be a job. I was not one of the owners of the company. I was a salaried employee. I loved the fact that we were doing well, but I always resented the fact that we didn't have a company like Warner Brothers behind us that could really give us the money and the support. I felt Marvel, see, it happened finally, But when we were doing this in the 60s, the superheroes, I felt we should be as big as Disney. I felt with those superheroes, because I knew how people liked them. I used to read the fan mail, and I knew how the books sold. I felt we should have a group of businessmen running the company who'd want to grow it and make it compete with Disney. But we didn't. We had a guy who slept on the couch and played Scrabble. So I forget what the question was. Did I ever feel that...
Was there a point in your career where it stopped being just, going to work and doing a job and started being a career?
No, it was always just going to work and doing it and wishing Warner Brothers would buy us. Yes, sir. Oh, I'm not allowed to do that. He wasn't looking. It's all right, I guess. He wasn't looking.
We got something
Actually,
for you,
we don't have
Stan.
time. We're going to step into Dr. Doom's time machine and go about a month and a few days into the future to December 22nd, I believe.
Yeah.
28th? Oh, sorry,
28th.
December 28th.
Come on.
And we're going to sing
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
For God's sake.
Happy birthday, dear Stan. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you so much. Wow, that is so nice. Yeah. Take the picture. My wife will say, you didn't eat that cake before dinner, did you? Wow.
All right.
Oh, that is lovely. And what's that picture?
It's a picture of the Marvel Universe.
Yeah,
Let me take a picture of that.
that. Oh, wow. And I kept saying to you, do I really have to go to this thing?
All right.
Okay.
Make a wish.
Yes, Stan, make a wish, but maybe another 20 years.
That's a good wish. Me and my wife and daughter. Okay. And all of you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really can't tell you how much I appreciate it. Yeah, I can tell you. I just told you.
Stan,
you're welcome.
Stan, the young man has something, a little card for you.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Wow, oh, that's very nice.
Thank you.
Yeah. Stan, you want to blow out your candles before...
What if I can't?
There we go.
My one talent, I'm a big candle blower. Thank you. Does this mean we're finished?
Just about. We're going to hand out some cake and we're done.
We're gonna what?
We're going to have some cake and we're done.
All right. Who does
No.
that? Who's good at cutting cakes?
No.
What? No.
Not that.